Fate Grand Order, Slayer Chronicles. Chapter 31. As the mission within this Garden of Sin continues, Doomguy and Scathach go back outside the apartment to investigate an undead resurgence. So far, they haven't found anything unusual about this place but pressed deeper into the surrounding dark woods on the property. I can sense the hatred here. It's almost palpable. Scathach commented while Doomguy tried the comms again. He only gets pure static again, so he makes a mental note to upgrade Chaldea's comm systems if he ever manages to get his fortress into this world. Then he heard a twig snap and aimed his shotgun at the source, almost instantly lowering his weapon after seeing a familiar face. It was Shiki, but she was supposed to be with the Masters and Mashu. Scathach comes to investigate and is surprised to see the Mystic Eye bearer in the woods with them. The strange thing is that she is wearing a white yukata, and instead of a dagger as her weapon, it is a katana. I see you are vigilant as ever, Slayer, Scathach. Shiki said with a much softer persona compared to the stoic one they knew. Who are you? You look like Ryugi Shiki and share her mystic eyes of death. Yet something is amiss. Scathach said, I am Ryugi Shiki, but just a different personality. Normally we should be a single person, but this world lets me manifest as a saber-class servant. To avoid confusion, feel free to call me Void Shiki. The sword-wielding woman explains. Doomguy was suspicious of this woman, but she chose to appear in front of him rather than continue to hide. He wasn't surprised to see an alternate Shiki, as he was now used to multiple versions of one person. He can thank Artoria, Jean, and Tamamo for that, at least. Well, I can tell you are not here to fight us. Are you after this saturation of anger looming in the darkness? Scathach asked, and Void Shiki nodded. Yes, it's here right here now. Void Shiki then points her blade towards the pitch-black darkness forming before them. It is shaped into the figure they saw before, but you can see more details. The male figure, whose clothes seemed mid-1800s attire, had a familiar aura of rage that everyone, especially the Slayer, could sense. Haha, I see you share the bloodlust of your other half. I for one don't have such bloodlust. All I have is righteous rage. The Shadow said with a dark grin. Avenger, there you are, Scathach said unfazed. And look at that, the queen that cannot die has come out of her prison for once. I am flattered that you have come to this nightmare. The Shadow cackles before being silenced by Doomguy firing a rocket at him. Oh, I can sense it clearly now. You hold a similar rage to mine. A purpose that is born essence of pure vengeance. How horrible and pathetic it is to see a man like you trapped by madness. Avenger spoke as the smoke dissipated, revealing he was unharmed and ready for a fight. So, you also sense that his form is imperfect? Void Shiki said. Her words caused Doomguy to look at her with questioning eyes. How did she know of his imprisonment of a false body? Yes, madness enhancement is a curse that he does not need. Oblivion suits him better. Speaking of which, let's have some fun. Avenger snaps his fingers, and 3 massive phantoms appear from behind him. These should keep you two distracted while we talk. Wait, Slayer dash. With no time to react, Avenger transported himself and Doomguy into a dungeon-like arena. The place smelled of death and misery while chains swung silently above the two. Don't worry about them. Those phantoms will fall. It will just take a while for them to kill. Avenger then slams his palms to the floor. The ground the Slayer was standing on darkened, and beams of dark blue energy blasted out. He gets hit by a few before boosting away with his suit's thrusters. Good. Come now, Slayer. Show me that rage. That anger that puts fear into the very pits of hell. Prove to me why you give hope to them. To Ritsuka, Avenger charges forward while infusing his hand with dark energy. Doomguy shifts to the right and clotheslines the Avenger with his arm before grabbing him by the shirt collar. He climbs Avenger into the nearest wall to pin him down for the final kill via his blade. Avenger grins and phases into the wall and out of Doomguy's grasp. Sensing the next move, he jumps backwards to dodge a dark beam barraged from above by 3 clones of the enemy servant. Doomguy whips out his chain gun as more clones spawn from the walls. He was trapped in a dome of death as they all fired dark blue beams of darkness at him. A kill box, with him trapped in the middle of it. He triggers overdrive and zooms between each beam while unleashing a steady stream of hot lead at the mirrored copies of Avenger. It became a 1 versus many battle of attrition as bullet casings littered the cobblestone floor and shadows turned to dust. This is disappointing, Slayer. Using the false gifts given to you, accept your true rage, Avenger yelled as all of the shadows fired at once upon the Doomslayer. The great warrior raised his weapon to block the attack, but the force behind it was immense. His knees buckled, forcing him down as Avenger increased his attack's power. Do it. Show me that strength that gives them hope. Gives Ritsuka hope. Or will you let her die? Doomguy's eyes sparked into yellow flames with the thought of Ritsuka dying because of his failures. With those thoughts, something in his body reacted and surged through his system. Every single cell within himself became more efficient in every aspect. The muscles become more substantial. Nerves working at quad efficiency. His perception of the space around him heightened. This strength and speed felt true to himself, yet more powerful than before. He pushes himself up against the continuous raising blasts with his indomitable strength. Time slowed as he looked for Avenger among the clones and found the one with brighter, glowing red eyes. With his target market, he meat-hooks Avenger and pulls himself free of the blast. Gah! Avenger grunted. The flaming hooks barbed his body. He was about to teleport away, but the chain pulled the Slayer to him just in time to grab him. Having enough, he grabbed Avenger to bring him down to Earth with the force of a meteor. A massive, golden shockwave of flames engulfed the prison, forcing them back to the wooded area around the Ogawa Heim, where Void Shiki and Scathach stood. Slayer? Both women spoke, seeing Doomguy return from being attacked by Avenger. He stands up from the ground as Avenger appears to have disappeared or at least retreated. I see you are unharmed. Have you defeated Avenger? Void Shiki asked while sheathing her sword. Doomguy wasn't sure himself. That last hit on that servant was one hell of a blood punch. Yet there was no evidence of a defeated servant or a single bloodstain. I do sense this anomaly is starting to wane from its roots. If he was the one behind this nightmare, then you must have dealt a fatal blow to him. Scathach said, walking up to the Slayer, who was deep in thought. Is something wrong? Scathach asked, but Doomguy shook his head. Very well, let's return to the others then. I sense the final battle is upon us if we take too long. Scathach said, I agree, you both should return to the upper levels. I'll remain here to make sure nothing else disrupts your mission. Void Shiki said. Scathach and Doomguy nod and head back to the apartment. Slayer, before you go, I must warn you. You don't have long before the Alea will attempt to claim you as one of her own. Breaking those chains will unleash her wrath against you. The Slayer stopped and stared at Void Shiki. Both I and my counterpart can see those chains. We could cut them with the mystic eyes of death perception, but it's a trap waiting to be set off. That's why neither of us has offered to cut the chance. Void Shiki revealed. The Slayer knew freeing himself from his binds wouldn't be easy, but he'd find a way. He always does. Your true power is already manifesting once more. Alea will act soon. You must be ready to fight and possibly leave Ritsuka and her friends. Void Shiki then disappears into the woods with her spirit form. Doomguy wasn't afraid of fighting the counterforce. What troubled him the most was leaving Chaldea in a demon-threatened world. But he has to do this as he needs to be complete again. Scathach and the other servants are powerful. Some of the servants he has met have earned his respect and trust along this journey. He nodded to Scathach as he was ready to regroup with the others and get out of this undead-ridden tower. Let's go. I am sure little Ritsuka will be happy to see us again, Scathach said with a smile. The small gesture of kindness sparked something in his heart that caused him to momentarily look away from the Celtic woman. Fufufu shy are we, she said, and Doomguy rolled his eyes. On another note, he wondered why Tamamonome or Nero hadn't shown up yet in Chaldea. Those two would be a boon to have around these days. Scornful remnants. Achoo. Tamamo sneezed as she wiped off bug ichor from her mirror. Are you allergic to Dash? No, Tamamo said, shooting down Nero's question. It was the aftermath of clearing out a horde of giant bugs attracted to the disturbance that the wretch's drill was generating. It was a huge swarm that took them what felt like ages to clear out. This may be the reason the mine was abandoned and sealed off in the first place. Regardless, the ex-demon was able to extract a large sample of the mysterious, glowing blue gemstones. I hope that stuff was worth it. Seriously, you could have warned us. Jean Alter said, a little annoyed after getting swarmed. My bad. I guess it would explain this stuff was so rare among the remaining tribes. The local wildlife evolved from the radiation this essence gives off. So of course they would sense people screwing with it. The wretch apologized as he analyzed the sizable haul he extracted. Yep, this is the real thing. It's called Wraithstone by the Argenta since it acts as a near-perfect substitute for the pure stuff you gals are blessed with. The wretch then warps the container to his workshop with a snap of his fingers. Thanks for helping me out, by the way. Again, sorry for the swarm. Next time I'll plan for it. The wretch said. You are welcome, and I'm sure you've had some wondrous plans with those stones. Helping you is also helping Praetor Slayer after all. Yumu, Nero said with a proud pose. With that, the ex-demon and the girls retraced their steps back to the entrance of the mines. They had been down there for a few hours, so it was nightfall when they returned to the surface. Phew, I really needed some fresh night air after smelling bug guts for hours. Let's dash. Tamamo was interrupted because the sudden flash of searchlights blinded their vision. Hey, you the fuck are you? Jean Alter shouted after their eyes adjusted, revealing a small army of sentinels surrounding them with weapons drawn. They were not bandits, as their armor was well kept and maintained. The trio of servants do the same in response, waiting for whoever decides to make the first move. Halt. Withdraw weapons. A loud voice shouts, and all the soldiers lower their weapons on command. The trio remained on guard as a figure walked past the line of troops in front of them. They were in heavy sentinel armor and extra plating that acted as a skirt. Take it easy, these guys are chill mostly, the wretch said, knowing the faction these warriors belong to. You four, state your name and reason for being here. The knight ordered with a strong female voice of authority. The four look at each other as off-worlders, so they don't know how they would react. Tamamo then winks at the rest of the group as she takes the lead. We are envoys of King Novik seeking for his allies. Tamamo said. Novik? Why would he send you to a Wraithstone mine then? He is long dead and only acts as a spurt guide. The leader asked. He seeks to assist the Slayer, as we are also his allies. Tamamo answered, which caused the lead to clutch her fist. The so-called king? He lost his title the moment he spilled Sentinel blood on sacred ground. Anybody who follows him is a fool, and so is Novik for assisting him. The woman said with seething anger through her helmet. Hey, listen here, you pompous shit. The priest used your laws to shield a planet under Hell's claws. If there's anybody here is a fool you. Jean Alter snapped back as she knew the story of the 3 corrupted priests, adding the Khan Maker from the start of the Civil War to the fall of the elemental wraiths. It doesn't matter. It's our laws. You outsiders keep causing out people nothing but pain. The Makers included as they enslaved our fallen to those beasts of the Dark Realm. The leader exclaimed with extreme hatred. Surely you cannot put the Praetor Slayer's actions with that of the treacherous Makers. He helped save my people, Nero said, stepping forward. And doomed ours. The leader unseated her twin sword, which is pure silver-like metal with a blue crystal pommel at the end of the handle. Warriors, apprehend Dash. Carlia, another voice echoed the words, freezing her actions. Who was that? Nero asked as the wind started to gust around the servants and wretch. Then spectral ghosts of sentinel warriors surrounded them, not to capture, but to protect. At the front was a woman wearing similar armor to the angered leader. Why are you here? The leader quivered at the slight of the woman with flowing silver hair and blue eyes. To guide you away from making a mistake, young one. The spirit said. Fine, everyone stand down. They are free to go. The younger woman, supposedly named Carlia, stated as she turned around and walked away. We are taking the mine for our settlement. Do you have any objections? She asked with a frustrated huff. None. We have gotten all we needed, just watch for the bugs. They're probably a hive down there. The wretch answered. They didn't get an answer to that as the spirits faded away. Let's get out here before the kid changes her mind. Here, I'll get you girls back to Exultia, the wretch said, opening a portal behind him. The girls leave without waiting another second to walk through the portal, leaving Carlia alone as her men take the mines. Damn it, mother, I have chosen my path. Just leave me be, she mutters to herself. Back in the ruins of Exultia, Jean Alter stretches her arms as it is a long day of work. Well, that lady was a real bitch, eh? She said, sitting on a chair in the semi-restored barracks they have taken up residence. She was a bit crass towards us. I guess not all the sentinels see Doomguy-sama in the same light. Tamamo said, while beginning to cook up some dinner for them. I feel it's unfair for her to say those words. Perhaps she is a remnant of the Maker's faction? Nero said, while pushing her blade. That's not the case with her. Her mother was a part of Novik's faction. The wretch said. What? All 3 exclaimed at once. Yeah, her mother was Ela Arcturnius, a Night Sentinel. She was a legend among the Novik loyalists as a shield maiden, a real believer in Novik's cause, and was one of the first great warriors to recognize our boy's potential. The wretch explained. What happened to her then? Since we just saw her as a spirit among the others that assisted us. Nero. She died during the great battle at Terra's Nabad, leaving her infant daughter with trusted friends, I assume. Now I guess she blames the Slayer for losing her mother. The ex-demon said while entering some data into his wrist computer. Her kid now lives in the city of Sentinel Prime, one of the very few cities still inhabited by the Argenta. Things are complicated over there politically, the wretch said, raising an eyebrow among the servants. How so? Nero asked, being emperor herself. The city hosts the Grand Arena. Think of it like the Roman Colosseum for the Argenta. But it's considered a holy place, so no sentinel blood can be split unless they take part in the arena. D. Grav tried to hide behind this law, and well. The Slayer put a bullet through his skull, thus losing his sovereignty. Jean Alter finished the sentence for him. Bingo. Thankfully, not all of the Argenta are such sticklers to the law. However, restoring his status as a king will take something big in tradition. The wretch said as Tamamo brought in something to eat. He thanks the girls again for their assistance and promises to do something unique with the Wraithstone they collect before returning to his workshop. Bitter ends in the moonlight. Doomguy loaded a shell into his super shotgun after blasting open the elevator door leading to the floor where Ritsuka and the gang were hanging out. He and Scat-Hack climbed through the door. The Queen of Shadows can fly thanks to her rune magic, so she carried Doomguy up the elevator shaft. They should be around here somewhere. Scat-Hack said. Doomguy? Scat-Hack, Ritsuka said, peeking around the corner before running up to them and giving her guardian a big hug. Doomguy pats her on the back, feeling relieved seeing all fine and well. Fufufu. Scat-Hack quietly laughed while Doomguy rolled his eyes. You guys did it. The demons all died around us so we could continue to the upper floors. Ritsuka's legs go off Doomguy, then looks at Scat-Hack, who then opens her arms with a smile. Ritsuka hugs her as Scat-Hack pats her head. Thanks. Well, the others are just down the hall. We'll fill you in on the details. Ritsuka said before running off. You know, I did have a daughter once. That was a long time ago, but I haven't forgotten how to tend to a young one. Scathach said, causing Doomguy to tilt her head at her. What? A warrior like me can't raise a child, Scathach said with a deadpan look on her face. Doomguy raised his hands, saying that wasn't what he was thinking about, but rather more on what she was like. Oh, sorry. Wadhak was a tad timid but grew up to be a proud woman from the land of shadows. Sadly, she did not gain my immortality, Scathach said while closing her eyes. Even after all these years, she still remembered her only kin. Doomguy felt sorry for her and mysteriously sympathized with her on a scale that almost frightened him. You guys coming or what? Ritsuka said, getting both of their attention from down the hall. Both Eternals snapped their thoughts back to the tasks and followed the redhead to the rest of the group. Everyone congratulated them on their victory in dealing with the nest. Both Gudao and Mashu filled in Doomguy and Scathach on what they were dealing with on their end with the servants they defeated leading up to now. Sounds like it was a difficult task for you young ones, but I am glad you were able to push forward and understand you were helping your friends, Scathach said with a nod. You have come a long way since your first steps on this journey, and you too. Scathach then looks to the two Mystic Eye bearers eating some strawberry ice cream. You two did very well. I haven't seen Mystic Eyes users during my time, so it's refreshing seeing such techniques used. Scathach chatted briefly with Shiki and Fujino as Gudao leaned towards Mashu. How does she know about our battles up here while they were down in the lower levels? Gudao asked. Scathach has a clairvoyance-like ability to see the experiences of warriors, hence her title as one of the best teachers in history. Mashu explained this to her master, who was in awe of such a skill and gained more respect for the great teacher. Mephisto was also there, but remained silent so as not to bring the wrath of the Doomslayer. At least he behaved while they were away to burn the nest. I am detecting no more servant signatures for the rest of the way to the rooftop. As much as I would like to say we have one, you guys should at least check out the remaining floors just to be safe, Dr. Romani said while doing the final scans of their location. That sounds like a plan. We haven't found that evil Mephisto yet anyways, Ritsuka said. Oh yes, there is still that scoundrel creeping around. Actually, after everything that happened, I am slightly concerned, Mephisto commented. All the more reason to check the remaining rooms. I have the master key right here, so we can fast-track cleaning up this mess, Shiki said while twirling a keyring around her finger. You had that the entire time? Fujino asked. I only found it on one of the zombies you twisted into mulch. Thanks by the way, Shiki teased back, causing Fujino to pout. The crew got to work searching the rooms to find Mephisto's twin to close up this case. There were still a few servants under the effects of the tower, so they had to battle their way through. Oh, I thought I was able to hide from the old hag Dash. An unwise caster got the beatdown of a lifetime from Scathach. I picked up some ice cream at the convenience store on the way back. What kind do you want, Nobu? Okita said while casually entering the aftermath of a Guda Guda tier threat. Those were some of the more eventful rooms they cleared as they reached one final room. The Spiritron density is highest on this floor. Looks like we're at the center of this anomaly. You guys have defeated dozens of ghosts so far, but this response is far bigger than any of them, Romani said. The core of the singularity, the soul, or spirit origin if you will, of this area. I detect it's in the next room, Vega confirmed as everyone prepared for the final assault. Understood. We're almost at the end of the hallway. That room seems to be the last one. Shiki, are you picking up anything? Mashu asked. Listen, the only thing I'm picking up is cold shivers. I can't detect magical energy like Ritsuka and Gudao. It's more like intuition for me. That, and how much death there is. Shiki explained to Mashu. Whether there's death, huh? You haven't talked about it, but what does it feel like to see death? The shielder asked with curiosity. It's creepy, basically. I told you before, what I see is a thing's lifespan. Everything has a seam. Shiki then explained how she could see the invisible lines connecting the lifespans of all things, which allows her to use her dagger to cut through the strands, leading to the instant death of whatever the line was connected to. If you have the time, you can ask a mage you know for a more detailed theory. In my case, I happen to know this weird image. She told me all kinds of stuff I didn't want to know. Well, I'll probably never see her again. But maybe you have someone who knows her. Shiki said. Probably not, since Chaldea is currently isolated on a mountain. Mind if I asked if you were born with those eyes? Scathach politely asked the noir-haired woman. I was born with them. They didn't awaken until I got into an accident. I basically died once. When I woke up, the whole world had changed. Shiki then shakes her head. TCH. Why are we talking about me, anyway? Oh, and please don't press Asagami about her eyes. She went through a very traumatic experience when her eyes activated. Shiki asked while acting protective of the red-eyed girl. Ryugi. Fujino whispered, appreciating Shiki's kind act. I apologize, I didn't mean to distress anyone. Let's focus on our coming battle then, Scathach said, looking towards the door down the hall. Hehe, at last we're here. Yes, this is it. I remember this place. I was first summoned here, Mephisto said with glee. Doomguy used that mood to get ready with his plasma rifle. So there's something here that's creating this fake singularity, right? Mashu questioned as Shiki grabbed her keys. Of course, it wouldn't make sense if there wasn't. Who could it be? I'm so excited. I'm so nervous, everyone. Aren't you? Sorta. But honestly, nothing really surprises us these days, Amashu. Gudao asked his Kohai. Yes, senpai. With the restoration of humanity and pushing back a hell invasion, we are well experienced at this point. Mashu nods. And here I thought I had a strange line of work. Come on, scissors, let's get inside. Shiki said while unlocking the door. One kicked in later. Do you have a constant urge to kick doors down? Ritsuka asked. Doomguy shrugs. He thinks it's just more fun that way. Back to the room. It was a boundless void of darkness. They could not see the room's boundaries, nor could Romani even see the outline from his director's terminal. Eyes up, everyone. This darkness is similar to my land of shadows. Stick together, or these shadows will overwhelm you. The Queen of Shadows said while everyone formed a defensive formation around the masters. But nothing came to attack. Yua. A moan echoed throughout the place. What was that? Ritsuka said, looking around for the source of the sounds. Kill, please. Shiki started walking towards the source of the voice as the others followed. The voice became louder as they approached the mysterious sound. What they found was horrific. That's no. How horrible, even for me. Mephisto said. What stood before them was an inactive gore nest made out of another Mephisto. It was similar to the state Romulus was when he was corrupted. The two masters started to feel sick to their stomachs. Scathach felt pity for the corrupted servant. Fujino looked angry as her red eyes shimmered. Doomguy just walked forward to put this Mephisto out of his misery. The only explanation was that this was the evil Mephisto mentioned by the one in their party. It would explain why he fell for Hell's false words again if he didn't remember what happened in the City of Mists. Here, let me do it, Shiki said, walking up to the sad abomination. Thank you, the servant said as the remains faded into golden light and the room reverted to a normal apartment. How did he turn into that? Fujino asked. It's the fate of all who make a deal with Hell, regardless of whether you are loyal to your word or not. This is what always leads in the end to all that couldn't resist the temptations. Vega said. Well, considering he was the evil me, it was the only other bad end for him. We say we are demons, but that's just our legend. We are nothing compared to what the big fella fights. Right, Mephisto said, unbothered by seeing his other half die. Doomguy grunts as he still doesn't enjoy being around this clown of a caster. See? As you can see, there are always worse monsters out there compared to little ol' me. The caster said before his own body started to fade away. Good work, everyone. Good work indeed. So I shall say farewell to you all, he said, surprising everyone. Good Mephisto. Why are you disappearing? Mashu asked. Why? That's a strange question. Killing that me means killing this me as well. Listen, if you defeat an evil heart, the good heart isn't going to somehow survive, okay? Mephisto explained. He's two halves of a whole. One cannot survive without the other. Scathach clarified as the caster said his last words of how he enjoyed tagging along and congratulating the two masters for persevering through this sleep of death. Farewell, everyone. The devil, known as Mephisto, then disappears. Heroic spirit Mephistopheles is gone. It's over, Shiki-senpai. Mashu said. Well, I guess it is. The chill I was getting from this place is long gone from these halls. This place will go back to being abandoned. When that time comes, there'll be nothing left. That's just life in the end. Shiki said, sheathing her dagger. Okay, let's head back to this Chaldea place. You want to join Asagami? Shiki asked. Yes, if that's not an issue, of course. Fujino said with suppressed excitement. Foe, the little guy barked. Huh? Are you coming too? Romani said, surprised. What? Are we not welcome? I've helped you this far, not that it was my main goal. We were troubled as well. I thought that both of us would wake up if I found the cause, but it's not happening. Shiki said. Instead, we are still here. Fujino said, looking a bit worried. This place will disappear soon, so Chaldea is the only place I can go. If both of you work for you guys, then we'd have a place to stay and such. Shiki asked if she and Fujino could join Chaldea. The two masters look at each other and smile at that idea. Welcome to Chaldea, both masters said. With that, Romani got to work ray-shifting the ground team plus the two new servants back to base. What about you, Scathach? Ritsuka asked. Oh, I have some more preparations before I can truly join you as a servant of Chaldea. With these two joining, Chaldea no doubt will be an interesting place to see, she said with a smile before winking at Doomguy. Okay, Ritsuka said before ray-shifting back to Chaldea with her teammates. Once more, Doomguy is then pulled back to base. Mind if we head to the rooftop, seeing that your transport is delayed? Scathach asked. Doomguy nods. This place might be ghost and demon-free now, but there was no harm in checking out the very top of the building. With that decision, they reached the rooftop covered in moonlight that they expected to be empty. Yet, that was no longer the case. Avenger, Scathach said while arming herself. Of course, you'd think I'd leave so soon. Avenger said, just standing before them without a combat stance. Doomguy just stepped forward, sensing the lack of a threat from Avenger. You can tell? Our battle left us mortally wounded. It took what mana I had left just to remain here. Avenger said as he started to disappear. So why wait for us then? Scathach asked, lowering her weapons. To explain this whole nightmare, the king of mages summoned me to create a pool of curses for the servants of Chaldea to fall into. However, I refused to follow his orders right from the start. Avenger said. So, this place was a trap set by Solomon, meaning the threat matches as a significant singularity. It makes sense since the demons were roaming about here as well. He held no grudge against humanity, yet goes through the effort to incinerate it. A dubious purpose that disinterested me. Unlike you, Slayer. Avenger then walks forward to be right in front of Doomguy. Your strength proves your hatred, your vengeance. All you need is to break the chains that bind you and take control of fate. Haha. A clear insult to the forces that seek to protect humanity. Avenger's body then fades away into the wind. In the meantime, I shall say this. Attendra Esper, wait and hope. His voice echoed into the night. In his place was a familiar golden crystal, a fragment of a holy grail. Doomguy picks it up off the ground and puts it into his suit inventory systems. The two Eternals were now alone on this rooftop, bathed in moonlight. Scathach walks towards the edge of the building to see the view of the city below. She takes a deep breath as the wind blows through her long, dark, red-brown hair. Slayer. Scathach then turns to face him, her figure outlined by the moon's light. With just these few moments with you, I felt more alive than ever. The eons I spent watching over those lands of death, it's been so long since I saw warriors fight for a purpose. She said, smiling back at Doomguy. It's cathartic. Thank you. Scathach said as her body began to fade along with his own. Doomguy could only bask in the sight of her beauty. That smile, the smiles the people around him were giving him. It felt undeserved, but it warmed up his old heart of stone. I will see you again soon. In the meantime, you should tell them about your situation. As much it might frighten her, she deserves to know. Goodbye. Scathach returned to her realm, and Doomguy was ray-shifted back to Chaldea. Now, worrying about telling his master the truth about his trapped manifestation, he feels more concerned about how Ritsuko would react. The kid already had much on her plate, and he thought that he'd only provide more burden. When he exited his coffin, Romani and Da Vinci were still scratching their heads on why it took so long to bring him back. Foe runs past Da Vinci and Romani, getting their attention to the awakened Marine. Ah, good, see? It's just an odd property of him. Nothing to worry too much about, Doctor. Da Vinci said. Still, it's better if we make sure he ray-shifts simultaneously. Anyway, I am glad to see you returned safely. Ritsuka and the others are getting some sleep since this isn't your first time coming back late. Romani said, confirming where the kids were, allowing him time to think. Doomguy then walks past the two staff members without another word. Hey, did you find a Grail frag dash? Romani then caught the Grail fragment as Doomguy just chucked it behind him. He exits the mission room, leaving even Foe behind. Q. Foe drooped his ears as he could sense something was bothering Doomguy. Doomguy was doing his patrols again like usual as he read the mission report. All the servants on a mission, including the two recruits, returned to the base without incident. That was some good news, but he still had problems, so he did more research on the counterforce. He takes his tablet provided by Chaldea and does some more digging, looking for anything he could use to his advantage. His patrol ends at the cafeteria again, still very late at night, and Amiya is cleaning the kitchen. Doomguy takes a seat, still deep into his research. He didn't sense the archer class servant walking over and placing a cup of tea at his table. Amiya didn't wish to disturb the man, so he would leave until he saw what Doomguy was researching. Doomguy noticed him looking over his shoulder and turned to face him, wondering what Amiya wanted. Why are you researching the counterforce? Amiya said with a serious look on his face. Doomguy stared back. Amiya seemed to know something related to the counterforce. With the look of disdain and seeping anger in Amiya's eyes, he could figure out that this servant must have had some experience with this so-called greater mind that guides humanity from extinction. Are you seeking to serve it? I must warn you that's its own kind of torment. Anyone that is willing to make a contract with her is nothing more than a fool. Amiya said before Doomguy grabbed him by the collar and lifted him to his visor, staring angrily with his glowing yellow eyes. No, I seek freedom from it. At Chaldea's Gate, EP4. 'Tis the season. Another day, another chance to peacefully clean some weapons, Doomguy thought as he cleaned the full auto mod for his shotgun. It tends to get dirty the most due to the amount of viscera created. It is a fair price to pay when it comes to slaying the demons of the Dark Realm. Once he put his gun back together, it was time to see what was happening around the base since he saw most staff hauling boxes everywhere. He would figure out what was happening, but he'd been helping Tamamo Cat, Boudica, and Amiya gather a suddenly requested surplus of food from the decaying singularities. Various meats, vegetables, and potatoes, among other things. The strangest one was cranberries. That sweet yet tart berry is usually consumed often during the year's final months. He understands they had more mouths to feed thanks to the fresh round of servants summoned from London, but the order seems oddly specific. Doomguy then heard laughter echoing through the halls outside, along with jingling bells. Then it hit Doomguy like an ice-cold snowball. If they were celebrating Halloween and Thanksgiving, then all that was left for the year was only one thing. The holidays of December, and he can guess which one was being celebrated here in Chaldea. He exits his room and instantly finds his answer, thanks to the festively decorated hallway. Ribbons and wreaths glitter the halls as he walks around, seeing the staff continue to decorate the place. The base was preparing to celebrate Christmas, the jolly holiday he hadn't experienced in ages. It was alien to him, even though he was once a human from Earth. It was also strangely nostalgic, since it has been forever since he celebrated Christmas. He continued walking about until he ran into Jean, who was helping place decorations around the base windows. "Ah, Doomguy, Merry Christmas," the Saint of Orleans said while wearing a festive sweater. She walked towards him with a beaming smile, clearly well into the Christmas mood. Doomguy gave her a nod as she approached. "How are you doing? Are you excited that today is Christmas Eve?" Jean asked. Now, that's a question. He was still a little out of his element when it came to traditional celebrations, just like Halloween. "Oh, sorry. I should have guessed you probably haven't celebrated much nor had the chance to." Jean apologized, but Doomguy waved his hand, signaling he wasn't offended. The ruler-class servant smiles at his response, so she decides to help him get adjusted. "I'm just finishing up here. Do you want to walk about Chaldea with me after?" Jean asked. Doomguy nods, as he isn't going to be a Scrooge for everyone else's fun while still feeling a bit numb to the holiday spirit. Jean smiled and got back to work to finish her task. They both strolled about the base once that was out of the way. "As you can see, we are working hard preparing for the festivities. Nearly every servant is helping out. Some are busy making gifts to hand out. Even if we are cut off from the rest of the world, we won't let that stop our Christmas cheer," Jean said as they reached the cafeteria. Many people were preparing for the holiday. The kitchen was bustling with cooking and baking of various festive foods. The aroma is so strong that it bypasses the scent filters in his helmet completely. He could spot Tamamo Cat bouncing around the kitchen and somehow not making a mess. Artoria and Lily sat at the counter watching the crew work and taste-testing samples. The duo pirate servants, and Mary, helped decorate garlands throughout the place while Fran and Tesla managed the multicolored Christmas lights. Medea and her younger self were knitting some new holiday-themed table decor. Because of the bombing of the facility, lots of the old decorations had to be scrapped. "Would you like to join us?" Jean offered, but Doomguy just looked at her. Sorry, this must be a lot to take in. I'll let you take your time. Ritsuka should be here soon to help decorate." With that, Jean left to help some more, while Doomguy found his usual people-watching spot along the walls. "Watch out. Tree coming through," Mashu said as she guided Asterios through the cafeteria entrance and past Doomguy. "Hi, Doomguy-san." Mashu quickly greeted as she made sure Asterios didn't hit anything. "Almost there?" he asked. "Yes, right there in that metal base in the middle over here," she answered, and then placed the spot Mashu pointed out. She and the pine tree were safely secured, and the Minotaur was rewarded with a packet of cookies. "Thanks, going to see Ellie." The Berserker then leaves the cafe, happy with a job well done. Shortly after, Ritsuka, Gudao, and Queen Marie Antoinette walked in with boxes filled with ornaments. "Looks like we finished right on time. Let's go decorate," Marie said as they walked into the room. "Mashu want to join us?" Gudao asked, and his Kohai rapidly nodded as they rushed to the tree. Ritsuka spots her servant walking over to him while carrying one of the boxes of ornaments. "Hey Doomguy, how's it going? The others and I have been making ornaments for the tree," she said with glee in her voice as she was excited for Christmas. Doomguy nods in response and looks at the tree decorations in the box. A lot of them were gorgeous and well-made for homemade ornaments. Da Vinci and Dell let us borrow 3D printers for some of these. Had a lot of duds, but Vega helped out with the final designs, Ritsuka said before looking over at the tree. She then looks back to Doomguy and looks like she is about to ask him something. The Marine tilts his head, wondering if something is wrong. "Oh, it's nothing. I'm going to get decorating." Ritsuka then walks over to the tree, leaving Doomguy a little concerned. Vega then hovers with his drone, now donning a Santa hat wrapped in Christmas lights. "Hello, Slayer. Observing the festivities?" Vega asked, and Doomguy nodded. "I understand that this might not be your preference, but this event will benefit everyone's mental health." Vega and Doomguy agreed that having time to waste and being happy for a break would suit the young ones. Doomguy then gestured to the AI's attire. "Oh, this? Queen Mary Antoinette thought I should dress up for the occasion. I have never observed a Christmas event, so I thought I would participate now that I can," Vega answered. Doomguy raised a brow to that comment. Did they not celebrate the holidays on the Mars base before the Lazarus Wave? Olivia Pierce banned all celebrations, and Dr. Hayden never bothered to overrule her on that policy change. Vega explained. If Doomguy could bother to speak, he would call her a bitch and a Grinch, and it only made her death at his hands even more justified. Along with knocking down her statue in the necropolis, it was even more satisfying. Vega then went to join the others in decorating the tree as Doomguy just watched from a distance. He was getting a tiny bit of nostalgia watching them have fun decorating the tree. It reminded him of simpler times. He observed them completely decorating the tree. All that remained was the star at the top to make it a Christmas tree. Ritsuka had the star in her hands as Mashu and Gudao gave her the honor of placing it. She looked up to the top of the tree, then to the star that sparkled in her hands. "Are you okay, Ritsuka-senpai?" Mashu said, noticing her friend looking a little sad. "Oh, it's nothing. Ritsuka was surprised by someone picking her up into the air. Looking over her shoulder, she saw Doomguy helping her put the star on top of the tree. She instantly smiled and reached over the top of the tree to secure the star. With a few seconds, the tree was complete, and Doomguy put Ritsuka back on her feet. "Thanks, Doomguy," she said before hugging him. Doomguy patted him on the back. "Oh, it's nearly time for dinner. Let's go help set the tables," Ritsuka said with excitement, and the others followed with her. Jean stayed behind with Doomguy to watch the others enjoy themselves. "That was very kind of you, Doomguy," Jean said. Doomguy maintained his usual silence as festive music started to fill the air. "Doomguy, I won't lie to you, but I can tell you are a troubled soul. Your actions and journey all show you have endured immense pain and suffering," Jean said with a serious look on her face. Doomguy was about to leave. He didn't need to hear this. The last thing he wanted was to be preached to by some holy figure. "But I won't force my beliefs upon you as much as my teachings ask me to try to lead you on to a new path free of perpetual torment. It's not my place, nor is it my authority," Jean added, stopping Doomguy from walking away. "However, may I say one thing?" Jean asked the Slayer while looking directly into his visor. He nods. "As much as you see yourself as a destroyer, you actually are an excellent guardian," Jean said with a smile. Doomguy had to blink a couple of times and look away as he couldn't take the pureness of Jean's blue eyes looking deep into his soul. "I'm sorry, but I felt like it needed to be said. I'll leave you be now," Jean said and left him alone with his thoughts. Not that he could think, thanks to that comment by the ruler-class servant. Festive feast. As the afternoon passed into the evening, everyone gathered in the cafeteria for the first round of a Christmas feast. Ritsuka, Mashu, and Gudao sat around their table with Romani and Da Vinci as the food was served to the hungry masses. Everyone was happy and enjoying their food and drink to relax after months of dealing with the end of humanity. "This is amazing. The kitchen crew hit it out of the park with this," Gudao said while enjoying some delicious turkey doused in savory gravy. "I agree with Senpai. This is one of the most delicious meals I have ever had," Mashu said, barely holding back, stuffing her face. "It is nice to relax and be merry no matter the situation," Acting Director Romani said as they all enjoyed the food. Ritsuka also enjoyed the food but felt like someone was missing among the people enjoying their holiday dinner. "What are you looking for in Ritsuka-chan?" Da Vinci said, noticing her wandering eyes. "I was looking for Doomguy," Ritsuka said. "Oh, he's over there by the entrance." The caster's servant pointed to the demon's lair standing near the entrance to the cafeteria, watching over the party as he leaned against the wall with his arms crossed. His master became saddened, wondering if he didn't like the holidays. "I wouldn't worry about it too much, Ritsuka-chan," Da Vinci said. "Huh," the redhead said, raising a brow. "Mr. Slayer is still struggling with getting used to things considered normal for regular folks." Da Vinci explained. "He is? It's kind of hard to tell sometimes," Ritsuka admitted, even though she had been with him for a long time. "Well, everyone handles their own problems in different ways. Remember, he's been fighting hell for eons without a stop since he showed up in Argent Nur," Romani mentioned, joining the conversation. "Yup, he's been fighting for so long that stuff like Christmas is alien to him," Da Vinci said while taking a sip of wine. "It's actually kind of sad still," Mashu said as both she and her master noticed Doomguy watching from a distance as well. "I think he'll come around. We just need to give him time," Gudao said with confidence in Doomguy. "Wait, is that Matahari?" Ritsuka said, pointing to the woman walking over to the man. "Is she offering him a drink?" Mashu said, observing the assassin-class servant hands Doomguy a drink, which he accepts. "Ah, see? You just need the right personnel to get him out of his shell, or in his case, an indestructible suit of armor," Da Vinci said. Then, more and more servants started walking over to Doomguy to share a drink with. Siu-Chilin, Fergus, Sasaki Kojiro, Medusa, and Dell are among others that Doomguy made acquaintances with. "What are we talking about over here?" Tamamo Cat said, popping in with her usual hyper self. "We are just ensuring Ritsuka that she should worry about Doomguy's way of celebrating," Romani said. Yes. Don't worry about it, Masta. He's big and scary, but he's a big softy on the inside. I know it because he was very polite requesting prepared meals so he can eat in private. Naya. Even tonight, I put some food aside for him to take to his room," Tamamo Cat said happily. With those words, Ritsuka couldn't help but have a big smile. Doomguy was enjoying Christmas in his way, so she didn't have to worry about it. They all happily enjoyed their eve of December 24th until it was time to turn in for the night. Once the halls of Chaldea become silent as the night, Doomguy retreats to his quarters, where there is already a box of food on his desk waiting for him, still warm thanks to spellcraft. He opens it up as he grows a mean case of the midnight munchies, finding a small note from Tamamo Cat. "Thanks for helping us out in gathering our much-needed groceries for the holidays. Woof. Enjoy." He felt bad for having the kitchen staff make these meal boxes for him. He needs to be in the right headspace for leisurely activities. He was pushing it by hanging around the cafeteria during dinner. Regardless, he was looking forward to a well-cooked Christmas dinner as takes off his helmet to chow down. After an hour of savory taste, he finishes his meal and reminds himself to repay the kitchen staff for their kindness. He then cleans up and sits on his bed with a comic in hand to enjoy some relaxation. It was the holidays, so he could spare an hour or two to unwind. It's not like he was going on any adventure anytime soon. Feeling an odd sensation of tiredness, he closed his eyes for just a few winks. Sleigh bell. Ritsuka and Gudao wake up after what feels like a shift, even though they should be in their rooms fast asleep. Where are we? Gudao asked. Beats me. I think we are shifted. Ritsuka guessed as they both had the sensation of being transported to a singularity. Looking around, they find themselves in a considerable snow-filled field under a starry sky. Emerging from the ray shift tunnel, your eyes met with the sight of a field blanketed in snow. A familiar voice speaks as they turn around to see who is speaking. A most literary beginning. The use of the second person lends a certain subtlety to the sentence. Don't you think, Ritsuka, Gudao? The person approached, and the master was met with an interesting sight. It was Artoria Alter, dressed in a festive Santa-themed outfit, but with black instead of red. In her right hand was her sword, while in the other was a huge sack filled with gifts. Saber Alter? Both masters exclaimed. Huh, a lively response. I am possessed by a sudden desire to kick you both in the arse. Artoria Alter said with a smile. Okay, weird. Are you the reason we are here, Artoria? Gudao asked. Is this a way of getting back at us after Doomguy blasted you with the BFG? Ritsuka bluntly asked, causing Gudao to recoil at that rash question. I have no idea what you are talking about. I've certainly, under no circumstances, been brooding over my defeat. No, not at all. I am precisely as you see me to be. She answered while trying to suppress the slight twitch in her eye. So you like a Santa Alter? Gudao guessed, and Artoria Alter nodded. Correct. I am Santa Alter. I am a Santa Claus of evil who slashes apart the icy breath of midwinter, she said, raising a brow for both masters. Isn't that more of a Krampus thing to be an evil Santa? Ritsuka asked. No, that's just a monster story to scare naughty kids. Gudao answered. You seem to misunderstand me. I merely wish to express my daily gratitude by delivering presents to all. However, going through the trouble of gathering presents, I have my means of transporting them. Santa Alter said, explaining her predicament and lack of sleigh. You reindeer are missing? Gudao said, looking around the frosty fields. Yes, the ones I hired all ran away in fear. What a bunch of cowards. All I did was use Excalibur Morgan as a jet engine to propel us into the stratosphere. The Dark Santa said with a smile. Well, that explains it, Gudao said while rubbing the back of his head. So you are looking for a new reindeer then? Ritsuka said curiously. I am indeed. I can't be giving gifts while also pulling the sleigh, so I must have you two be my replacement reindeer. Santa Alter said, while pulling out a pair of reindeer-themed onesies for them. What? Are you sure we are the only ones to be? Gudao was then stopped by Ritsuka, who zoomed up to Santa's altar and grabbed both garments. I call this one. Ritsuka then tosses the other onesie at her fellow master after immediately putting on hers. Gudao sighs as it seems Ritsuka's hyperactive side starts to show up. He remembered her reason for being so excited for Christmas, so he decided to go along since she was having fun. I guess we are just the people for the job then, Gudao said with a smile. Huh, I admire your enthusiasm. This will be a daunting task. However, I will ensure your efforts are rewarded as Santa should, Santa said as Ritsuka spun around in her outfit, noting that her onesie was Rudolph-themed to go with her red hair. With the agreement to help out of the way, it was now time to go where Santa Alter had her sleigh parked. They had to run as the presents attracted devious monsters that wanted to feed their greed for gifts. Wait, do I hear gunshots? Gudao said as they ran. Yup, and they sound all too familiar. Let's go, Ritsuka said, running ahead and not noticing their Santa, looking confused as she didn't summon anybody else. As they climb over the hill, they can spot a horde of golems made of snow surrounding a sleigh full of gifts and Doomguy blasting the icy assailants with a shotgun. Wait, does he look like a dash? Ritsuka was stopped by the aura of jealousy emanating. Preposterous. Santa Alter growled under her breath at the sight of Doomguy due to his new, very festive, look. As the last killer snowman falls, Ritsuka and company rendezvous with Doomguy and get a better look at him. His armor color switched from an olive green to a metallic cherry red with white accents. Doomguy's arm blade was replaced with a jagged candy cane, and his equipment launcher was inside of a mini Christmas gift box with its muzzle poking out. Finally, his helmet was topped with a red Santa hat and a mustache attached just under the green visor to go with the matching fake beard hanging off his chest plate. What's the meaning of this? How did you become a Santa? I never summoned you. I only needed reindeer. Not another Santa. Artoria Alter yelled as she stormed ahead of the masters. Then she heard the sound of a shotgun pump, causing her to rethink her actions. Hey Doomguy, I guess you came here as well. Is Vega with you? Ritsuka said as she and Gudao caught up with them. Doomguy shook his head as the AI wasn't responding to his requests. It would seem that Mashu isn't with them, so it was just the masters and 2 servants. I see Doomguy again got a new look for the holiday. Gudao gestured to Doomguy. Again? Santa Alter asked. Yeah, his armor got all spooky, scary skeleton on Halloween. Now he's also a Santa, Ritsuka said with cheer. Santa Alter had difficulty accepting that the man who defeated her and her rival on resource-gathering missions was also a Santa. She wanted to protest this, but couldn't deny how happy Ritsuka and Gudao were. It was against the duties of being a Santa to bring sadness to good boys and girls, so she had to compromise mentally. He also defended her sleigh of presents. Ahem, since you two are as Santas then the responsibility of delivering presents also falls to you. Come now and help us spread the cheer to children, Santa Alter said before going to inspect her sleigh. Doomguy raises a brow before the youngsters explain the deal with Artoria, Alter, and Christmas. As he guessed, it was another holiday bonanza he was dragged into, and his armor got messed with. Also, his weapons got festive-sized as well, covering most of his guns with holiday-themed colors and wrapped with Christmas lights. I know it's a bit wacky, but will you help us out? Ritsuka asked, looking extra adorable in that reindeer onesie. He gives her the thump-ups. Of course, he is coming. I have commanded it. Santa Alter exclaimed. Santa Slayer flips her the middle finger. Both masters drop a sweat seeing the clashing servants. The wind blows by as the squad flies through the air on Santa Alter's sleigh, with Santa Alter at the front controlling it, while Ritsuka and Gudao are happily sitting in the second row. They would pull the ride. Santa Alter needed the extra mana to get it back into the air. Doomguy, he was hanging on the sleigh's side with his feet on the skis. He didn't mind as he wouldn't hog all the room with his larger build. Though he can swear, the former Saber's servant attempted to knock him off. This is so cool. We are actually flying through the air, Gudao said, taking in the view. Naturally, one who would be Santa must be able to traverse the skies. We must deliver presents to children around the world. I've dubbed this Lamria unit too. You may relax your guard and entrust yourself to it, Santa Alter said with a smile. Doomguy gave a silent chuckle as she named the sleigh after her Lancer counterpart's horse. Becoming a Santa reduced her harsh demeanor for the time being. Good. The last thing was her and Doomguy to butt heads during Christmas. Now, it was off to deliver the presents on the list. Why did he even expect it to be normal? First was Darius, age 3. Sadly, the children on the list were servants acting a little out of character for some, while others were wondering how they got dragged into this strange holiday world. At least Darius, the king of Persia, seemed very happy along with Phantom of the Opera. As they continued their delivery, they were attacked by an unknown servant riding around on a hippogriff, the famous half-eagle, half-horse creature of Greek myth. The sleigh and creature crashed into one another, causing Doomguy to jump out and catch the sleigh while the servant crashed into the tree. Both Chevalier Dion and Queen Mare proceeded to ambush them with snowballs. After a little aggressive but fun snowball battle, Santa Alter gave out the gifts, and both were on the list. Then came the new servant, dressed in black and silver armor topped with a white cape and fluffy collar. They were pink with a tiny bit of white braided into a ponytail. This servant was introduced as Astaflo, one of the 12 knights of Charlemagne of European legend. "Oh man, I missed the fighting," Astaflo said, unaware of a mischievous Ritsuka preparing a snowball. Surprise attack. The redhead shouts, and she whips one at the rider-class servant. But her aim needed to be corrected. It was meant to hit the newcomer in the shoulder, but hit the groin instead. Guh. Astolfo froze as their purple eyes shrank in pain before falling over into the fetal position. Up. Ritsuka looked at the group's males, and they both nodded to confirm what had happened. I guess we shouldn't assume based on looks then. Sorry, Astaflo. Ritsuka then runs over and casts a healing mystic code. After that revelation, Santa handed me another bunch of presents, including the sleigh crasher, surprisingly, as Santa Alter found the turn of events amusing. The night goes one after another to a cave with Martha, Ushawakamaru, and a drunk Jinku. Then, we go to a pirate ship with Amiya, Robin Hood, and Elizabeth on board. There was one house in Uruk that appeared empty for some reason, and not because a certain Mesopotamian king was there claiming that Santa Alter was rightfully his gift. Let's say Gilgamesh wasn't obliterated by a very big and festive gun to keep this event jolly. They were nearing the end of the list when the sleigh encapsulated a strange fog. After it was dissipated, they found themselves back on the ground facing the 2 childlike servants of Chaldea, Jack the Ripper and Nursery Rhyme. "Oh, so I guess it was these 2 that trapped us," Gudao said. "Pardon me. Hello there. Miss and Mister, are either of you Santa Claus?" Nursery Rhyme. "You are Santa, aren't you? We mean, you're carrying all those presents after all." Jack said. "Yes, he and he are Santa. And what is the reason you have brought us to this place?" Santa Alter asked. "Well, since it's Christmas, we were thinking we'd like something warm." Jack answered. "Yeah, that's why. Even though we knew that it was wrong, we forced you to come here." Nursery Rhyme added. The 2 kids wanted to be included in the gift giving, but they weren't called by anyone and ended up alone. Indeed, solving this matter was perfect for Santa. However, they both wrote letters asking for gifts. But that didn't bother Doomguy as he walked over to them like a good Santa and sat down on a nearby log. Ritsuka instantly figured out what he was planning. He was about to do the most common thing Santa Claus does for children. While you both have not written letters, it is not too late to ask Santa Claus what you want for Christmas. Santa Alter instantly understood what her fellow Santa was planning. The reindeer then nodded to each other and led the two servants, Doomguy, to have them both take turns sitting on his lap and ask what they wanted for Christmas, just like Santa in a shopping center. After that, Santa immediately opened her sack, and many presents flew out for the two girls. They were happy and full of cheer as they jumped for joy. Ritsuka couldn't help but smile seeing Doomguy and Artoria Alter, two very menacing servants, bring cheer to eager children. Yay, yay, both Jack and Nursery Rhyme said. Now what do you say to the nice Santas? Gudao said. Thank you very much, both kids said. Santa is always an ally to all children and would never bring sadness to them on Christmas Eve. Santa Alter said with a proud look on her face. With that, there were no more presents, and it was time for the masters to return to Chaldea. All right, that is all the Dear Santa letters. My job is done. Good work, you three, Santa Alter said, giving praise. Even if I had to share my title, she added with a slight grumble. Doomguy rolled his eyes, seeing that the Ice Queen still felt jealous. But I couldn't have finished it without you all. I would have given up after the first person. I may not watch it, but I get bored easily and have a short. I'm sure you didn't notice. Santa Alter said. The two masters look at each other. Sure, yeah. Both of them said, not to ruin the moment for her. After that, Santa Alter called them royal reindeer before sending them off, assuring them she can assume this festive form whenever and wherever they want. Thank you, and Merry Christmas, Artoria. Ritsuka surprised her with a hug, causing the dark tyrant to blush a bit right before the two masters poof out of this mysterious winter wonderland. It was strange for Doomguy to be so involved in this holiday-themed quest. He mainly had done it for Ritsuka and Gudao initially. But now he wasn't so sure. Something deep within his hardened heart resonated seeing the smiling faces of others. If this was related to the missing memories, he did not know. However, Ritsuka was having fun, which was the critical part of his book. As usual, Doomguy seemed to have stuck around, causing the two servants to stare at each other. You know, I was kind of expecting that Frenchie Alter to show up. I was going to give her a picture of Jeanne d'Arc, but she never appeared. Is she at Chaldea? Santa Alter asked. Doomguy shook his head. So far, they had everyone they met in the Singularities plus more. That's disappointing. I would love to see her wretched face get mad at Dash. Roaer. A giant horn monster comes rampaging out of the woodwork. It looked like a yeti with beast horns and glowing red eyes. Krampus, the enemy of Christmas, originally meant to scare children into behaving. Now they come and ruin the holiday. Santa Alter draws her sword, and Doomguy pumps his shotgun. Krampus roars again as its chest glows with the all-too-familiar light of the Holy Grail. The two servants look at each other and nod. Let's get our reindeer a reward for their hard work. With that, the heroic Santa battles the beast for the Holy Grail fragment during the Holy Night of the Year. Eventually, this leads to the demon's gruesome death and the two masters' welcome surprise waiting for them under the Christmas tree at Chaldea. Christmas dawns on Chaldea within the dusty badlands of the fifth singularity. A drifter walks into a small western town in historic America, looking for a drink after a long night of killing demons. He finds the local saloon and casually walks in, hoping to get a stiff drink. The place only had a few customers in the seats, and most had a stressed look. It was the exact opposite vibe a salon should have, but the drifter wouldn't let that stop him. He walks up to the bar and sits on a stool to wait for someone to offer him a drink. A bargirl noticed and walked up to take his order. Need something to drink? She asked. Just need something to wet my whistle. Been busy fighting assholes all day. A mug of beer should do it, he said, placing some coins on the bar. Alrighty. She takes the money with a smile. We don't get many people around these parts ever since the new management took over, the lady said while preparing his drink. Huh, new management, right? I'm sure many rampaging barbarians are good for the economy, the drifter said while adjusting his hat. The darkness around his face was unaffected. Well, what can you do? We just have to do whatever they say and clean up afterwards. The bargirl then hands him his drink. Enjoy. Much obliged. The cowboy was about to take a swing until the doors busted open as a group of angry warriors from a far-off land barged in. Everyone in the establishment froze in fear or tried to hide. Wench, we demand drinks until we fall right on our asses. Making snappy. B, but I don't have enough. I am still waiting on a shipment because of how dangerous the roads are, the bargirl said, shivering while still trying to keep a polite face. Doesn't matter, haha. It's all our drinks anyway. Thanks to Queen Med. Praise Med. The brutes laughed as the lady sighed in defeat, knowing they would not pay and she might have to sell the place afterwards. One of them saw a drink on the bar and reached for it, not caring who it was for. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Taking another man's drink comes with a price. The drifter warned. Huh, you think you can threaten us? You tiny little weakling. Look at this, brothers. This whelp thinks he can boss us around. The brute said, causing his fellow grunts to walk over and surround the man. Well, are you feeling tough now? The brute taunted. The drifter remained silent. Didn't think so dash. Bang. The brute fell to the ground as his face was shot by a revolver at point-blank range. One strange thing about it was that the body just melted into a pool of blood. I told you there was a price. The drifter then spins around the barstool and fans the hammer of his gun to kill the rest of these so-called Queen's Army men. He then chugs the rest of his beer mug and tosses a pouch of money to the bar girl. Thanks for the drink. That should help you hire some muscle in case some more of these goons show up. The mysterious man then proceeds to walk out. Wait. What's your name, stranger? The lady asked. Pat Corzo, the High Noon Drifter. Chapter 32. Burning. Everything was burning. Howls of the damned echoed through the burning forests that surrounded him, the Doomslayer. Hordes of burning dead were coming at him, each one falling to his bare hands with ease. Doomguy? Help! A voice cries out. It is Ritsuka. She was crying for help. How did she end up here? Without time to think, he sprinted towards his master's voice through the flaming trees. More of the burning dead came screaming out of the trees and slowed his progress. Ergagap. Ritsuka screamed in agony, causing Doomguy to become blind with rage. He rips and tears through the zombies without much effort as he continues his rampage. The man rips the head off of one more flaming ghoul as the screams fall silent. Doomguy looked around, hoping to find Ritsuka, but she wasn't anywhere. Why? Doomguy heard her voice, and it was close to him. Why did you? It sounded like she was right beside him. Why did you leave? He saw her, bloodied, eyes hallowed, covered in burns. Doomguy takes a step back, his eyes widened in horror. You promised me that I wouldn't die, but you left me alone. Ritsuka takes another step forward. Please come back. The visage of Ritsuka hauntingly begged as blood tears flowed from her eyes. Doomguy's thoughts were racing. How did this happen? When did it happen? Can he save? No matter if he had to try. He then felt the grip of his super Hakken in his hand. No. Flaming chains wrap around his arms and body. Then, he starts to pull his arm up to aim. What are you doing, Doomguy? Are you going to kill me? Ritsuka, run. This isn't me. Doomguy shouted as he fought against the chains. But his voice was silenced. No one could hear his screams. His struggles were in vain. You promised to protect me. Now you're going to shoot me. Ritsuka shouts, not hearing Doomguy's screams for her to run away. The shotgun barrel aimed right at her head. He then feels his trigger finger begins to betray him. No, stop it. Ritsuka, run. Run away. I should have never believed in you. I hate you. Ritsuka screamed as the trigger was pulled. No. Doomguy screamed and opened his eyes, awake in his room at Chaldea. He looked down at his desk and saw his double-barrel shotgun on it. For the first time ever, he backs away from his beloved weapon. Count to 4. Inhale. Count to 4. Exhale. It was only a nightmare. The Slayer doesn't know how he fell asleep, but can guess one thing. The counterforce was messing with him again. It makes sense now that they were going to the 5th singularity in the morning. Vega and Da Vinci theorized that clearing the 5th singularity could significantly cut off Hell's forces as the 6th and 7th ones showed no signs of demonic influence. They were using that hypothesis to predict the demons attacking Chaldea in retaliation. This must also be closing the window for Alea to get control of the Slayer. He needs to do something. Maybe. Leaving is the right choice, even if it's just for a moment. But the Slayer needed a way back to Chaldea, something to help him find his way back, or perhaps someone. He picks up his gun and heads for the workshops where he made the CES suits. When he entered, no one was there. Good. The last thing he needed was for them to worry about him. He walks over to Vega's drone unit. Currently, it's just being controlled remotely from his Predator suit CPU. It was time to fix that. He walked to a terminal and brought up the files on suit blueprints. Slayer? Are you working on a project? Vega said, startling him slightly. Doomguy nods as he narrows down to his suit's computer systems. Specifically, the ones that were currently running Vega. Understood. Shall I contact Da Vinci for their assistance? Vega asked, and Doomguy shook his head. Is this a secret project? Vega asked. It took a few moments for Doomguy to respond. The Slayer nods. I understand. I'll remove any records from the systems, but any missing materials might draw suspicion. Da Vinci will most likely notice anything missing and report it to acting director Romani. Vega warned, but Doomguy knew the risk and would take any anger at him when that time came. Vega then notices what the Slayer is looking at, bringing curiosity to the AI. Are you trying to fabricate a CPU to transfer me to? Vega asked, and Doomguy nodded. While I appreciate the gesture, I am afraid that we lack the raw materials to make a viable unit. Even with my higher functions disabled, I would have to run at even more reduced capacity or risk melting anything we make. The AI said, bringing frustration to the Marine. They need UAC tech or something similar to the new host hardware to get anything done right. His fortress would have the tech, but that didn't come with him, nor could he summon it here. Oh, how he wished he was more prepared for this mess. Wait a moment, Wish. There might be a way. After all, he rushes over to the valuable material storage vault and inputs the unique access code given to him by the staff. Air hisses as the heavy metal door opens up. He then walks through the vault until he reaches where the Holy Grails were stored. He wasn't after the ones that King Solomon created, as those were needed to track the location of the bastard. Doomguy inputs a command in the terminal. Grail storage rotates to the fragments collected and the spare celestial energy core leftover from Valen. He still needs to find a use for that, but Da Vinci mentioned that she wanted to study it for a future project. Doomguy cycles through each fragment until he spots the one he was looking for, the one dropped by the Avenger-class servant he fought at the Ogawa-Heim apartment. One moment, Slayer. Even you don't have clearance to take Grail fragments out of storage. The AI warned. Doomguy rolled his eyes. Now you do. I'll revert the changes and hack the storage sensors to continue to read that the fragment is still there after its removal. Vega stated as he hacked the systems with little effort. Doomguy nods with approval as he can always rely on Vega for anything, which is essential for what he'll need him to do. The Slayer reaches for the shard and gently removes it from its container. The immensely powerful source of magical energy humming in his hand. Raw power is ready to be used for anything, good or evil. But the Slayer's mind was void of malcontent. He only wanted to ensure Ritsuka, Gudao, and Mashu had the most he could give should he disappear from this